I am Darren Pytel, Davis Police Chief. That's Darren Pytel, Pytel. And present today, I have a member of the District Attorney's Office, Jonathan Raven, and Cecilia Agar-Curry, our local assembly person, City Manager Mike Webb, and the City Council, and Board Supervisor Lucas Frericks. And everybody will be available to provide statements after the press conference. So I thought I'd start off first by going over the three incidents that are being investigated, and then answer any questions from the press after that. So on April 27th at about 11:20 a.m., Davis police officers responded to a welfare check regarding an unresponsive male at Central Park, which is located just outside of downtown Davis. Police, fire, and medical personnel arrived and located a deceased male in the park. He was slouched over on one of the park benches where it appears that he kind of normally sits and or sleeps at night. The preliminary investigation revealed that he had suffered very significant stab wounds and that he was a victim of a very violent attack. On April 28th, the Yolo County coroner identified that victim as 50-year-old David Henry Bro, who has been in the community for over a decade and, while homeless, was a regular fixture in the downtown in a very positive manner. And the other night we had a vigil for him, and many community members spoke about his positive and lasting impact on the community. 2 nights later, April 29th, at approximately 9:14, a Davis resident reported hearing what sounded like a disturbance near his house, and the disturbance was located in Sycamore Park, which is in central West Davis. The resident went outside to investigate and found a male adult with what appeared to be multiple stab wounds. He immediately called 911, had a short interaction with the suspect who fled. Police officers and fire department personnel responded, and the victim was declared deceased at that time. The next day, the coroner identified the victim of that homicide as Davis resident, 20-year-old Kareem Abu Ajim. And he was a local resident, a Davis High School graduate, and a UCD student. Last night, on May 1st, at approximately 11:46, the department received a few 911 calls. The first one came in reporting a disturbance at a tent, which was located at the intersection of or near 2nd and L Street. And there's several tents there from the local unhoused. They've been living there for some time. The initial report was that somebody had been punched through the tent, and then soon after that was followed up with a second 911 call from the actual victim. She had her call had gone to 911 for CHP because the location being near the freeway, and CHP transferred the call to Davis PD. She reported that she had been stabbed. Right around that time, Davis police officers, who were actually fairly close, responded and located her and determined that she had been stabbed several times. She was treated and then transported to the UCD Med Center. The latest information that I have is that she did have several stab wounds, had surgery, and is currently in the ICU in critical but stable condition. We were able to get a statement from her. She was able to provide a description of the assailant, and she was able to tell us what happened. In that one, it appears that she was inside of her tent, and the suspect came up and stabbed her through the sidewall of the tent. After the incident last night, we did set up a perimeter, and officers responded. We were able to call in officers from the West Sacramento Police Department, the Yolo County Sheriff's Department, the Woodland Police Department. A K-9 unit also responded, and we had drone teams respond as well. Soon after, we requested additional assistance from the Sacramento Police Department, the Sacramento County Sheriff's Department, and Elk Grove Police Department. We did end up getting another canine from Sacramento Sheriff's Department, and so we split up the perimeter, did a very extensive search, including house-to-house searches for the entire neighborhood near where the attack occurred, and we were unable to locate the suspect. We did have a witness who said that the suspect fled on foot westbound on 3rd Street, and that was the last sighting of him. The description that was provided for the stabbing last night is substantially similar to the description that was provided by the witness in the second homicide. At this point, we're still determining whether the two are related, but there is a similar in that they both were knife attacks, and the descriptions were reasonably close. Although there's consistency in some respects with the first incident, we're still trying to determine whether the first homicide is related to the second homicide and whether these are related to the stabbing for last night. The similarities of the two homicides are that both involved male victims. They occurred at Davis Parks. The attacks with knives were particularly brutal and violent. These were not stabbings where a person would normally be a victim of like a robbery or something like that, where there's just a couple of wounds. There were many and very significant knife wounds. The attack last night had far fewer knife wounds, but still similar in the respect of the description provided. At this point, we're going through hundreds of tips. Since we put out the information on Thursday, there's been no shortage of people calling in potential information. We've been contacting many residents and asking for any information or for any tips regarding that homicide. When the second homicide occurred, because we had a description, we started receiving far more tips. You know, people reporting people who matched the description of the assailant. And since the third incident, already this morning, we're receiving a significant number of tips as well. We've asked residents to provide any video that they may have, whether ring or other type of video of anybody matching the description. Because of the number of tips that have come in, it's been a challenge to get to everybody timely, but we do have teams of detectives that are working through and trying to get all of those tips collected and somebody to respond to them. On the investigative side, we have the resources of all of the Yolo County law enforcement agencies. I've been in communication with the Yolo County Sheriff and the police chiefs for each of the jurisdictions. All of them have been providing support since the first homicide, both in terms of initial response and ongoing response. I also have commitment that they'll continue to provide extra patrols in Davis and assist us with the investigation. Additionally, we've been working with the FBI on helping us with evidence, and they're in town today, and well, we've been using them to help us with evidence for a couple of days now, but they're in town today to help with the investigation and also helping us collect all of the tips that are coming in and providing resources to start going through them a lot quicker. And so we have the significant federal support at this point. The Department of Justice has also been assisting. We've been able to submit physical evidence to the DOJ Crime Lab, and they're going through the evidence for us now. We're hoping to have at least preliminary information back, hopefully today. If not today, then maybe tomorrow. Some of the evidence is can be fairly quick to analyze, and some of it will take much longer. And of course, as everybody suspects, we are looking for DNA that may help us, find the offender. unlike TV, it can often take much longer to actually analyze that evidence and do comparisons. So we're working on the timing, and it really just depends on the quality of evidence that we're able to submit and what they're able to do for us. But we're very hopeful. We have collected other evidence as well, and they're going to be going through that today. At this point, we're using 3 crime labs. FBI has offered up their services for analysis. DOJ has been doing work for us, and the Sac County District Attorney's Office has also been assisting with analysis. Needless to say, resources are coming in, and we're putting everybody to work that we can. Earlier today, the Sacramento Sheriff's Department, Sacramento Police Department offered up teams of homicide and other detectives. Right before having all of you come in here, we were briefing them. Looked like there was about 30 of them in the room or more. And we'll have additional resources from those departments coming in today, tomorrow, and looks like probably throughout the week. We have a lot going on, and there's many aspects to the investigation. Right now, what we're trying to prioritize is going through the physical evidence, going through statements, and of course, going through any tips that may help us identify the offender or offenders. In anticipation of questions, we aren't able to yet positively link the 3 crimes. We're still waiting for evidence to come back that may help us really link them. Again, we're going between the 2 homicides. We're really going based on where they occurred and the type of wounds that were sustained. There is a suspect description for the 2nd and 3rd incident, which are substantially similar. And that's really the connection that we have. The crime of last night and the one that occurred in Central West Davis, because we have witness descriptions of what happened, they were particularly brazen. And that obviously causes us significant concern. There was an interaction between the offender suspect last night and several witnesses who were able to provide descriptions. And so the interaction occurred over a period of time before the actual stabbing occurred. That is particularly concerning, and that the suspect didn't seem to care that there were several witnesses who could identify him. We have received questions regarding air support. Last night, when we came in, which was right around midnight, there was light rain in Davis and low cloud cover. A helicopter was not airborne, and even though we made several requests, there were no helicopters up last night to assist us. We were able to get drone support from the Sheriff's Department, West Sacramento, and Elk Grove. And there were times that they were able to fly, and because of the rain, there were other times that they were unable to fly. The drones were equipped with FLIR, so infrared vision, so they were able to fly and see anybody who may have been hiding in bushes or backyards or other areas. And so the drones assisted basically with the canine searches. Here at the police department, in addition to the investigation going on, we've redeployed all of our resources. Basically, we've moved all of the patrol forces into 12-hour shifts so that we have more personnel working 24/7. We are stepping up patrols all over town, and have also requested mutual aid resources to come in and assist with those saturation patrols. Our intent is to have a very visible presence, both so that people see the police department and police departments out to potentially prevent crime, but also as an opportunity for our residents to offer tips or provide information, and of course to stop anybody who may look like the person that we're looking for. So it's important to have those extra patrols. In addition, UCD PD is doing the same. I have been in close contact with Chief Farrow at the University of California Davis Police Department since the first homicide. He was at the command post for the search last night. We both arrived at the command post at about the same time, and we spent several hours, pretty much all night, together, both trying to apprehend the offender from last night, but also talking about campus safety as well as the safety of the city of Davis. And I can tell you that UCD is also committed to helping us patrol Davis and is a close support ally in this investigation. For the public, as the mayor said, we understand that there's fear and trepidation right now. We're getting questions, is it safe to go outside? Well, we've had 3 stabbings, 2 homicides, and they've occurred over the past couple of days. That's, to my knowledge, not ever occurred in Davis. I've been with the department coming up on 40 years now. And this morning I spoke with one of the people who trained me back in the 80s when I was new to the police department, and he was here for a long time before me, and he said that he couldn't recall any similar incidents like this. So this is different. And the attacks were particularly violent and brazen, as I said. Since the first homicide, our messages have been consistent. We ask that the public be vigilant. And what that means is to be completely aware of your surroundings, to know who may be present or watching, and to take action to avoid those places where you can't really see everything. So lighting can be important, but darkness may also be important in the respect that crime does take light. So people have to make smart choices about where it is that they go, what it is that they're doing, and whether they're able to pay attention to their surroundings. Of course, people should have a buddy system right now. I think that that's a appropriate and reasonable response. None of the attacks appear to have occurred during the daytime. Although the first homicide in Central Park, the calls came in after 11 a.m., there is some indication that the homicide occurred many hours earlier and probably during darkness. So at this point, we don't have any indication that anything is really occurring during the daytime hours. So the safety concerns, I would say after dark, be much more aware of your surroundings and be vigilant, as I said. People should prioritize their own personal safety. We're getting questions about whether we should do anything from imposing a curfew, which would mean prohibiting people from being out in public, or should they change their plans and not do public things? My response to that is people need to make smart choices. And, as a general rule, we do recommend that when people go out, they're around other people and in crowds. Generally, there's a better sense of safety anyway in those types of situations. But people will have to make their own call on what they want to do as we proceed through the investigation and until we make an arrest or arrests in this case. We will continue to send out timely information. And we understand the importance of being transparent and providing what information we do have and providing it to the community in timely reports. There, as all of you are aware, and many of you I see are pretty experienced in following crime, you know that there are certain aspects of investigations that we do have to keep confidential, certain information that sometimes only the assailant would know. And sometimes that becomes very important in helping us work through tips or even how we investigate a case. So while I've been providing information, there's certain types of information and certain types of issues that may arise that I'm unable to share at a particular time. However, we will go through and balance the need for the public to know what's going on with the need to do a comprehensive criminal investigation, which is what we have here.